Okay, so now we want to create a search box. So basically we want to have a box up here where we can search or filter for products. So let's jump into VS Code, and we're going to have to edit quite a few files here. So we're going to start off by creating the search box component. So inside components, let's create a file called searchbox.js. And we're going to end up putting this into the header. So let's generate just a arrow function component here, and we're going to bring in here use state because we need the keyword that's going to be part of the component state. And then let's import from React Bootstrap. We want form and we want button. So it's going to be from React Bootstrap. And then let's define our component state here, which is going to be keyword. It's going to represent the keyword that's passed into the form, and then this will be set keyword. Set that to use state, which is going to have a default of just an empty string. All right, and then in the return here, let's add a form with an onSubmit, and this is going to go to a submit handler. And let's also make this an inline form. So we're going to put it in the header. And then for the form control, say form.control, let's give it a type of text. And let's give it a name. Just give it a name of Q. And then an onChange, which is going to be a function. And we want to call set keyword, and pass in here whatever is in the box, so e.target.value. And I'm also going to add a placeholder and just say search products ... And finally I'm just going to add a couple classes, so class name, and we're going to do MR, so margin right on small screens 2, and ML on small screens 5. So that's our input. Now we need a button, so right under the form control, let's add our button and give this a type of submit. And I'm going to give this a variant of outline dash success, so it'll be like an outline of green, and then a class name for padding. I'm going to do p-2, and then in here we'll just say search. Okay, so that's our form. Now we need to create our submit handler, so const submit handler. Let's pass in e. Since it's a form, we have to e.prevent default. And then what we're going to do is check for the keyword. So we'll say if keyword, and we'll just trim any white space. So if keyword.trim, then we're going to redirect. So history dot, actually we have to bring that in. So up here from props, I'm going to pass in history. Now, since this search box will be embedded in the header, we're not going to have direct access to props.history. We're going to have to use something called a render prop, which I'll explain when we get to it. But let's say history.push, and we actually want this to go to /search/ and then whatever that keyword is. Okay, else if there's no keyword, so if there's nothing in it, then we're going to just push to just the home page. So history dot push and just go to /. Okay, so that's our component. Now we need a route for this search / keyword, so we can actually close search box up, and let's go to app.js, and I'm going to just copy this home screen up and get rid of his exact, and it's going to be home screen, but the route here is going to be /search/ and then :keyword. Okay, so it's going to be just a placeholder for whatever that keyword is. And good. Now before we actually give functionality to the search, let's just embed it in the header. So in header.js, we're going to go ahead and import. I'm going to go right here and import our search box from, it's in the same folder, so ./search box. Now, like I said, we're not going to be able to just directly embed it, but I'll show you what happens if we do. So if we go, we're going to put this right under navbar collapse and right above nav, And if we just embed it normally like this and save, it's going to show, so it shows correctly. But if I go ahead and I search, we get this message that says cannot read property push of undefined. And if we look, it's history that's undefined. Because we embedded it inside of the header, we don't have direct access to the router props like match and history. So what we have to do is, instead of putting it directly in here, we're going to bring in from React Router DOM route, and let's say from React Router DOM, and then what we'll do is, instead of embedding it, let's replace this with route. So we'll say route, and then we're going to use a render prop. So we just pass in render as a prop, and in here we'll pass in an arrow function, and this is we're gonna pass in here search box. So search box, close it, and then we have access to props.history here. So I'm gonna destructure it and take history and then pass it into search box. So pass in a prop called history and set that to history. All right, that way it should work. So if we go back here and I type something in and search, you'll see that it works. It redirects us to search / and then whatever I have in here. Now it's not doing anything. We need to add that functionality. And just to show you, if I leave this empty and hit search, it just takes us back to the home. So let's give functionality to that. Now it's going to the home screen, so let's start there. We'll go to Screens, Home Screen JS. And in the home screen, we want to check for the keyword. So here, let's say const keyword, and we're going to use match, so we need to pass in match here, and then get match.params. Now we're not getting an ID this time, we're getting the keyword. That's what we set it to in the app.js in the route. So we're going to get that. It might be nothing, or there might be a keyword. Whatever it is, we're passing it into list products, because that's the action that calls the products from the back end. So let's pass in keyword. Okay, now we have to account for that in list products, which is an action. So product actions. And we have our list products right here, which I'm going to pass in keyword, but I'm also going to set it to, as a default, to just an empty string. Now this is the route we hit, API products. So let's replace this with backticks, and we're going to pass in a query string here. So question mark keyword equals, and then whatever that keyword value is, it might be an empty string or it might be a keyword. Now we have to account for this here at the back end. So let's go to our product controller. So I want to go to back end product controller, and here we're going to go right above where we fetch the products, and we have to decide if this is going to be empty and get all the products, or if it's going to be, if we're going to match whatever the keyword is. So here we want to create a variable called keyword, and we want to test for request.query.keyword. So request.query is how you can get query strings. If there's a question mark equal or question mark something equals, this is how you can get it, with request.query and whatever is after that question mark. So we're going to say if that's there, let's open up some curly braces, and we want to match the keyword to the name of the product. So we're going to say name, and here we're going to use a regular expression, so we can do $regex and set that to request.query.keyword. Whoops. Keyword. Now the reason we're doing this, and we're not just saying if name equals this, is because if that was true, then we would have to put the exact name in the search box. We don't want to do that. If we put like IPH in there, we still want iPhone to come up. So that's why we're using this regex here. And then we can pass in options, so $options, and I'm just going to use I, which is case insensitive. And then, so that's if this exists. Now that ends here, so we'll say else if it doesn't exist, or if it's an empty string, then we're just going to use empty brackets. or empty curly braces. And then here, we're just going to go ahead and spread keyword, which is this here. So it's either going to be empty or it's going to have the keyword in it with that's going to match, match the name, or part of the name, I should say. So let's save that, and I think we should be all set. So we'll go back and let's just type in IPH and search, and now it narrows it down to the iPhone. If I pass in air and search, okay, so there's one thing I forgot. It's not working a second time because in the home screen we need to add keyword as a dependency here so that this fires off whenever the keyword is changed. So now if we go back, and you can see it already did it, but if I type something in again, and let's type in CAN, the camera should come up. If I just put like an A, all this stuff will come up, and if I put nothing, it just takes us to the home screen and shows all the products. Okay, so we now have that search functionality implemented.